All right, welcome back to another episode of Unknown and Talented, behind the scenes with your very own Sharnae Janice and Jelan Abrams. It's our first episode together of the new year. I won't tell you Happy New Year, but I hope it was happy. I've still been telling people that because I don't know. I just still like wishing people excitement if it's the first time I've seen you, and this is the first time we've seen each other. And after some exciting changes in our lives. So I'm feeling good, Jelan. How are you?
I'm feeling good too. I was about to go get some water, so you was going to do all the talking. My name is Jelan Abrams. Thanks for allowing me to introduce
It's your
myself.
show. I think they know your name.
Well, yeah. Well, yes, we are excited to be able to get an episode back in together. We haven't seen her in a long time, so it's cool to have a cool conversation today. What you want to talk about?
So, sharing a little bit about where we've been, what we've been doing. I took off the whole month of January from socials, and Jelan took a week off from socials as well. And so,
A week off?
Yeah. Did you take more than a week? I mean, I know there was the intentional time when we were consecrating and fasting, and you took that week off. Is there additional time?
The last time
you're not on Instagram at all. I just mean like socials in whole, because you still on TikTok and things. No, I'm not judging.
My
I'm just saying.
I wasn't on there for a good period of time. Just say we both wasn't on it for 30 days at least. Jeez, you out here trying to just throw me under the bus on just a week. Like, just a week. We haven't been on social.
I said
he just took a week off. We haven't been on social media for 30 days.
It's been 20 years. Jelan hadn't been on social media since he was born. How about that? We took time away intentionally. We wanted to just ground, reset, refocus, take away the distractions that are so easily to get, entangled in starting a new year. So we took time away and wanted to come back with some reflections, some feedback, some advice, some interjections. And I think my time away, like first takeaway from me was realizing how.
First of all, hold on. Why did you do it?
Yeah, that's a great call out. So speaking a little bit to it, what I pinned to is just that distraction piece. The top of the year for me is a time where I like to focus. I like to take time to pray, to fast, to get direction for the year. I didn't want any noise, cluttering what God was saying to me. I wanted to feel clear and focused in direction and feel creatively just rejuvenated. So I like to take time away. This is probably the longest stint I've done at the beginning of the year, but I really enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's for me was just being focused. Really trying to be intentional with this year. I think every single year we come about, I got New Year's resolutions, a list of 50 things you want to accomplish, but then you still move the same way. So I just wanted to move differently. I think especially being a content creator and having to be on every single social media, I think it was a good thing for me to step back and just focus on YouTube instead of just being, because when you're on social media, you're not always posting content. You're looking at people's story, you're doing this. So I just felt like there was a lot of distractions and time that I can use somewhere else. So I said I want to lock in and be super focused. So when Sharnae said she was doing it, I was like, I might as well. So yeah.
I love it. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I never had any doubts that you couldn't. But like you say, you're very heavy into content. You are a year. You're just shy of a year, right, into the game. I know you just did 100 episodes, but you've been. I want to believe you started in March, right?
Yeah. So that's just 2 years actually.
2 years? Get out.
100 episodes.
Get out.
52.
I think you recorded twice every day last year.
I started when we was in the apartments.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so going to be on 2 years of podcasting, yes.
Dang. That's really wild. I wasn't even trying to be funny. That's really wild.
Yeah.
Time
100
flies.
episodes. Yeah, 100 episodes, 100 weeks.
How many weeks in the year? That's crazy.
52.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
2 years is crazy.
I appreciate it.
Dang. So, forgot what I was even saying.
I don't know what you were saying either. That was totally. We're talking about social media. Why you decided to get off of that?
Well, Oh, I was just saying, I was proud of you for taking that time away because you've been very devoted and intentional about creation. And a lot of time, like you said, that takes a lot of focus to socials. And so to be away, either you have to just completely be okay to step away, or you have to do a lot of pre planning to be able to have things scheduled and adjusted. So either way, it's a huge commitment when you're thinking about what that looks like when you have an audience and people that are expecting content, things of that nature. I'm a bit fresher in the experience. So I was like, y'all be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's for me. It's just like that's where most of my people I know are on social media. Because like these days, people are not calling you, texting you. Everybody's on their phone on social media. So it's definitely a different experience of not being able to communicate with people. Because like I was, on TikTok here and there, but like Instagram, I wasn't on. I'm still not on. Like I just posted a picture today because Valentine's Day with my wife. I just, accepted a what's it called, collaboration on my laptop, but I haven't had Instagram on my phone the entire year. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think it's really interesting too because even when I think about social media and being away from it, I just realized um how needed it's really not. Like I think sometimes we think things are vital, we've introduced them and we feel now we have to do it. Even we'll get into this later, another episode, but just changes I've been making in diet. It's like you get so, oh, I have to have this because it's quick, because it's processed. And when you start going back to the core, it's like, no, there were ways to cook food that was not just already a prepped meal I could pick up or something in a jar. People had to make something before you could process it to put it in a jar. In the same way, like there are other ways to connect with people. Before there were conversations you had virtually, you had to first meet someone, connect with them in person, and know them. So there are still ways to feel connected to people without being online. It's not to say being online is a bad thing, but it just, I think, grounded me to the fact of you've lived significant part of your life without it. Now as you're an adult and you're thinking about what the next season of your life looks like, I'm having so many incredible moments with people, sharing with people, engaging with people, and those moments mean so much to me outside of the like snippet of life that you can post on a square.
Yeah, I think you made a good point though. Comparing it to food of getting something quick is like, with Instagram, you're getting like the satisfaction of doing something quick. So, you're posting a picture, a bunch of people liking, now you feel like you accomplished things. When, you take your time and actually, like, say, for example, a podcast, or let's say you have a business you're starting, it's gonna take a long time to be accomplished, but you post on social media, now you feel like you're accomplished. That's the same thing with food. Is like you hurry up and buy, something fast food, McDonald's or Taco Bell or something else that y'all be liking, but you get it quick and now your hunger is gone instead of actually cooking it. That takes forever. Like cooking takes like 2 hours, eating takes 5 minutes. So,
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
you made a definitely good correlation between, social media of just getting stuff so quick and compared to food. But
Yeah.
I think, did you want to talk about that or no? You good?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's something that in that time away that God showed me He wanted to draw me away from is that space of instant gratification. Like He works in seed time harvest.
That
And
was the word I was
so
looking for. Instant gratification. I couldn't figure it out.
it's all good. And so I think he's trying to change me, even in the things he's calling me to this year. If I'm moving in that mindset of wanting to feel it instantaneously, then I'll forfeit blessing that he has assigned to me. That's a harvest blessing. It's not, as Papa would say, it's not a microwave blessing. It's going to take time. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and I think another point about being on social media is that the comparison point. They say comparison is a thief of joy. Is when you're looking on there, you're so focused on what everybody else is accomplishing. Like I don't know what anybody's doing, like at all. I'm just living my life. I know what goals I want to set, and I'm chasing those. I don't know. Somebody just bought a house. Somebody just got a baby. Somebody just we married already, so that don't affect me no more. But it's like it's like you don't see what all these people are doing because you're just focusing on yourself. And I think that's a good thing to step away because comparison is a thief of joy. You feel like you're not doing anything when you're seeing all these things on social media. Like for Valentine's Day, I could see somebody did, rented out a big old place, and I'm like, dang man, I ain't do enough. But it's like I didn't see any of that. So what I did, my wife was happy, and that's about it.
Yeah,
So
we were happy. We enjoyed it. So yeah, I think there's that enjoyment of just your day to day life. And I was so productive. Gosh, like I just when you look like it seems small when you're like, oh, I spent like 2 hours this week or 3 hours of screen time. But you think about 3 hours on average, that's a significant amount of time. things you can do in 3 hours. It's a lot. There's a lot of prep I can do for food. There's a lot of just books I can read. There's so much I can get accomplished, and so much I did get accomplished that now when I go to pick up my phone, I'm like, nope. Like if I'm not doing it for an intentional reason, I'm like, you gotta chill because that so quickly adds up to time that just eats away in your day. And then you're like, dang, did I get this done? And it's like, no, I didn't
Yeah,
because I was scrolling.
yeah, eats away in your life too. You talking about 2 hours? Like I talked about this before in the episode, but like 2 hours a day on doing something is equivalent to a month, which
Mm,
is crazy. So like you're like, oh, I'm just chilling, and it's like, yo, you wasted a month of your life
mm,
on the social media because people are spending more than 2 hours on social media. That's easy.
yeah.
But I've definitely seen a decrease in my screen time by not being on there. Like seeing I spend an hour and 30 minutes on my phone is like, yo, that's crazy. So that's like why I will never get Instagram back on my phone. I'm just gonna be on thing. I don't know. I don't know if I cause you can post everything on there too. Yeah. You don't even need it on your phone. I can post everything on desktop, but
Yeah, I
it
think
just
even
wastes
schedule
so much
too.
time. Yeah, it just wastes
Mhm.
so much time in my day. It's like I'm not going back.
And I think there are still ways if you want to share things on social media without it fully overtaking your life. My cousin just posted that he is a father, and it was like a lump sum post of like moments that we had not experienced and just some quick tidbits of like, here's a baby shower, here's pregnancy photo, boom, baby. I was like, oh, like at first I thought it was like, oh, this is happening, but it was like, this has happened. But I thought that was so fire because for 9 months, that was personal to him. And so it wasn't something of like, I would never share it. It's just for those 9 months, I was really locked in. The people closest to me who would be part of that child's life in the most intimate way, the grandparents, the aunties, uncles, they knew. But everybody else in the spectrum of the world did not need to know or have feedback, or I didn't need their validation. I didn't need their celebration. Doesn't mean that at some point they won't celebrate with me, but the people closest that would be most impacted by this life coming into the world, those are the people that saw that information. So I think even the privacy aspect is something that we don't think about. We sort of normalize giving everyone access into things instead of like, let me be intentional if need be, and I can share a moment, especially if it's like a testimony or something that is encouraging someone or giving glory to God. But you don't have to know every single step of the process of what's going on in my life. So I love that. I definitely was like, let me jot that down because yeah, there's certain things that are personal to you. Everybody don't gotta know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people just want to post the progress. I mean, a lot of times, or post like the journey, and then it's like they never get to the destination. It's like they get
Mm.
congratulated for, oh, you just started a business. It goes crazy on social media. Like the first time I posted my podcast, it went crazy. People liking it, people sharing it to their story. Oh, congratulations! Da, da, da. I'm like, I didn't do nothing yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So people are so excited about getting the congratulations in the beginning instead of just knowing that it's going to be a journey. So thinking about your cousin having a child, like, yes, everybody's congratulating you at the beginning, but when you had those sleepless nights, when the baby's crying, who's there with you? You know what I mean? And they're not going to be there with you. So you're getting all the hype from, starting a journey or something like that. But through the journey, you're going to have to put that work in, which is like, it's going to be tough, but people just want to get the glory in the beginning.
And I love that. I love that there is a space if you genuinely are invested and wanted to, show support and care that you had that access to. But outside of that, the other intimate moments are ones that are just between them. And they were able to save that, mental energy and reserve their mental health because that's a really intimate stage of life to go through.
Yeah, yeah. I like how you hit that mental health part is because once you're so much invested in, what people think and what people are saying, it's like they could control your happiness. It's like you post like I'm about to have a child and nobody likes it, nobody could be like, dang, what's going you know what I mean, what's going on? Or like even thinking as me as a content creator posting stuff and not getting like a bunch of likes like, on one is like man, now I'm sad. And it's like, just step back from it. It's like you don't need like I was saying, the validation from anyone else. Like make stuff happen. Like the thing about it is like whenever you start like a business or something like that, let's say if every single person next to you buys it, you still gonna need more people outside of that, So I'd never try to like judge my happiness on what just people around me are doing because I know it's definitely bigger than that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where I think it made me be more intentional about the timing attached to things. Because again, I don't think it's necessarily bad to share, but it did get my mind more focused on why am I sharing something? What's the intention of it? Who should actually, get this information, be privy to it, and then the timing of when certain people get information, because everybody doesn't have the same access to me. So I think it's a really important piece, and that in itself preserves your mental health, because the people that genuinely will support and care get information first. Those who may or may not get it later, but by then you've already been solidified in, you know, the most intimate people close to you supporting you, God giving you that vision, that direction, that blessing. So I'm grounded in that. Everything else is just the add on to that joy, but I'm not looking for anything else from it, because I think whether we want to admit it or not, it gave us this place, like you said, to get instant gratification, instant applause, instant, oh, I like this. Oh, yay. Oh, I love that. And people like that. We are human, and innately we do like that praise, even though it only belongs to the Lord, keep it a buck, but we like it. And we enjoy that space where people can validate us in some way. And so it made me really have to humble myself to be like, when you're posting, why are you posting? When are you posting? What's the intention of it? And just being more grounded about like what I post going forward, and it being, more
Yeah, and I
intentional.
think another thing that stepping back made me realize is that I don't have many meaningful relationships outside of like my family, is because when you're on social media, you're talking to everybody, you're chatting with their stories and stuff like that. But then like once you get in the real world, like how many people have I touched? We went out to dinner, went for bowling, or we doing things like that. It's like stepping back made you realize that, everybody you were talking to and doing all this chatter with online is like that's not really like the real relationship you have. And we realize going to new church, we actually are able to build relationships and actually communicate with people in person, and get their vibes, go out and hang out. We haven't hang out with anybody yet, but we're going to. But it's just a cool thing to actually be able to talk to someone in person instead of just feeling like you have friends because of social media, because I don't feel like that's this cool. Is definitely, I feel like it's cool to have it, but it's just like it's good to have real life relationships as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the exciting part of the new chapter that we're in our lives is having even more meaningful relationships with people in person. And then if social media is just to add on to those relationships, then that's awesome. But it's not the foundation for what it looks like to have people close to us in this new season that God's bringing us into. And I think this new season is one that is not only full of really meaningful relationships, but just new creativity. I was able to do a lot of projects in the house that, again, you sort of consume a lot of social medias, a lot of ideas, but you don't actually just make them happen. So there were all these things I wanted to do and create, and I was able to finish designing my office. And it's just small things that but feel huge when I go into that space
Oh,
now.
sorry, before you get into that, I like how you said that, is because if y'all think about it, right? You on Instagram, check your saves. You have a million saves and you haven't done anything. It's like, oh, I want to cook this. I'm saving it. Well, I want my office to be like this. Oh, I want my gym to look like this. There's so many things I've saved. I haven't done nothing, but it's just I'm consuming. Oh, I'm getting ideas to do stuff. You haven't cooked any of that stuff. So it's like, is it really helping you get ideas, or are you just like wasting your time?
Yeah, no, that's real. At some point, you have to start being like, let me at least make a checklist of, X amount of things I want to try this month or this week, and really start letting them be ideas that come into fruition, because there's a different joy of liking something and actually like not liking it just because you clicked it, but liking it because you actually went there, because you actually ate that, because you actually did those things. That's a different way of living your life and experiencing life in fullness.
Yeah, I just think it's like just too much information on social media. It's like you hear about the news and this, you hear about, food, you hear about this. There's just so many things you learn about by being on there that you honestly don't need all that information. It's like, back in the day, they had the newspaper for your city. I'm not saying go back to that, but it's like, yeah, for your city, you don't need to know what's going on in Milwaukee and New York and all these things that can, going back to like mental health, it can get you down. You feel like, oh man, this world is so messed up. It's like, you don't need to know all that information. It's too much. Like we shouldn't be knowing every single detail of every single state and country in the world.
Yeah. And I think the next piece, sort of thinking of that, is hopping into some of the hard pieces, because as much as we don't need that, again, even the same way we don't need praise, we do not need information with everything happening. But part of that feeling of like some of the tension during that month was randomly some of that FOMO. You know, you do get some of that fear of missing out of what's going on. So there were moments, I can't lie, that I was like, dang, I wonder what's going on, or I wonder what's going on in the cousin chat or different things. But then I had to ground back to like, what's most important that's happening is what's happening in my home with my husband, in my church with the people that I'm around, my brothers and sisters in Christ, in my family, and the people that pick up the phone to call me or text me. These are the most important things happening. If these things on social media were that important, they would be actually an intimate part of the like circle of people in my life. If not, then it must not be that important because they didn't take the time to actually like reach out and just call or just text. So it's not that it's a bad thing or that those relationships don't matter, but it must not be the most important thing based on the fact that it didn't get outside of that little,
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, because I even think about the wildfires in LA. It's like I didn't really understand how big it was until like we were seeing it on TV, and I'm just like, what was on? Because I was still on YouTube, so seeing on YouTube, I'm like, yo, this is really crazy. But I wasn't on Instagram, so I didn't see every single detail. So if thing is going to be big enough and important enough, you're going to see it without having to be on Instagram. Because I was not on
Yeah.
Instagram, not on TikTok, and I was able to find out like what's going on. But you're on Instagram, you're hearing every hour on the hour. You're hearing things that are like not really mattering. But like the fear of missing out, you might miss out on a few things, but your life is still going on. Like if it's important to you, like you say, you're gonna get it by from someone, your family member, a friend. You're gonna find out something that happened instead of having to be just plugged to the phone.
True, true. And yeah, like you said, there without a doubt those spaces where you're going to get information of what's most important, one way or another, even without social. So I think it really does just create that ascension of what's important versus things that can sort of just be like mind clutter that can bog you down in your day to day.
So talking about like staying away from it, and we were talking about like that community. Did you feel any like loneliness or like just like to yourself because of you didn't have that? Because like, I did talk about us not really having a big community. That's what I realized. So I don't know if you felt like any loneliness or not being able to communicate by not being on Instagram or social media.
I didn't, but I do think that goes back into the in person. Like my homegirl Yazi, my homegirl cousin Yazi, we went out to have brunch with each other, spent time with some family. I live with my best friend, so I can always
I was like, who is that? I was like, wait a minute.
So I'm always in a space where I connected with someone in that way. And then my best friend Chelsea, like we outside of socials, we call each other, we text each other, send quick voice memos. My sisters always call and check on me, my parents. So I have a lot of those relationships. And then in our new church, now that I was starting to connect with people and interact, I served. So I'm meeting new people and I'm working with the little ones. And you never feel lonely when you're around little kids. You immediately have best friends. So I actually felt probably the least lonely. And I think that even was for me telling it like, wow, like this is very different. I feel very connected and full. And it's not from sort of pulling from living vicariously through pieces of information in people's lives. It's from like real life interaction and touches with people.
I was on the other side. I did kind of felt like lonely isolation. Not saying anything against you, but it's just like you're just so used to just seeing what people's doing and just like seeing somebody do, oh, good job. Because I'm the kind of person that somebody does something, I'm gonna say good job, congratulations. I'm posting it in my story. So not being able to do that was different for me. But pretty much what I realized it made me do, it made me text them. It made me text them. It made you call these people that you had their number to. Because if you don't have their number, how close was that relationship really? So many of my friends that I'll just text like, "How's everything going?" You know what I mean? Or call a family member real quick to see how they doing. So it kind of really made you like reach out to them because on social media you're just going to text them, oh, LOL, or laughing, and you're not really having a meaningful conversation or making sure they're good. So it kind of forced me to stretch myself and like instead of just trying to stay to myself and just be on the social media, reach out to them and see how they're actually doing instead of just a random thing on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that is one of the pieces that I think we're honing in on too is that there's an ease to social media, right? And again, it's not the saying that it's a completely bad thing, but just you discerning in your life where there are places that there's a little more effort that I could extend to this relationship, to trying these new places, to trying these new food, to trying new things in my home, that it's much easier to just like it, to just click it, to just heart it, than to actually put the energy in to live your life. It's easier to listen to someone's quick clip about a sermon or about a book than to read the book. And it's like, where are you actually missing investing in life for yourself because you're just living off like 30-second reels of something, that instead of having real life instead of a reel.
Yeah, no, that was actually good. I was, even though the delivery was, but it was still good. No, but pretty much what I like what you were saying there is that people are, what word am I looking for? So like right now, our attention span is so short is because of the social media. So like she was just saying, instead of actually listening to the full sermon, you're gonna hear one point and said, "Oh man, he's really spitting." Like go back to it and actually listen to see what's being said, what the message was, because there's so much more information in it. Not even thinking about a sermon, thinking about somebody talking about like money. Look and listen to their whole podcast and see what they're talking about. Everybody just wants to see a little short little clip of everything. Actually look at everything that they're doing to find out, exactly what's going on. Is because our attention spans are so short, we're on to the next thing. That's why we have so many saves in our phone, because we're just going to keep scrolling and not really doing anything. You're thinking about starting a business, you're watching all these little short reels on how to start your business stuff, looking at a YouTube video and seeing the steps of them breaking it down, because you're like, oh, I got all the information I need, but you're still not going to do it because you don't realize stuff that you didn't get in that reel, in that longer video is going to actually help you out. So I think it's really important, instead of just trying to get that little short little glimpse of stuff, actually do real research, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely, I think, impacted us in a way that's going to shape differently how we look at interactions and relationship this year. Going forward, I know things that we're implementing is definitely just continuing to stay very limited in socials, and having defined times throughout the week that's completely social media free. For us, that's the weekends, in the mornings, right before bed, just having those moments that are back to just quiet, not looking at things, doing more scheduling of content so that we can be more just connected in our lives, and then just, schedule things out and allow ourselves to really enjoy each moment.
Yeah, because the thing about like not being on social media, it kind of forces you to actually do things, because you realize how much time you have in your day. Like you realize that, okay, I got to make sure I get on this podcast. Okay, Charnay got to make sure she do her podcast. Make sure you check her podcast out. Charnay's a vessel. Got to throw the plug in there. But it just forced you to actually do what you said you was gonna do. I think something that we did this year was work on a calendar, which has been very helpful. But like even today, we list off every single thing we're gonna do in that time. It didn't say go on social media for 30 minutes. It didn't say go on social media for an hour, because that would have thrown it off. So you have a schedule of stuff you want to do, and now you're on social media for 30 minutes or 15 minutes at a time. That's gonna stretch it out, and now you're not gonna be able to get things done. So I would just say definitely find time. Actually, let's give them like a strategy
Yeah.
for actually removing ourselves from social media, because everybody know it's not good for you, but we're just addicted to it.
Yeah. Well, I think for us, thinking more about content creation, scheduling posts, that's going to be a really easy way that you can designate time during the week where you do create your content and then schedule it out. So that way, when you're done, it's like YouTube scheduled, Insta scheduled, TikTok is scheduled. Now you don't have to touch it. And then you can also have a set period of time that's just for responding to people. So if you are that person that wants to have that touch and engagement, you can still do that, but be intentional about doing so. I think also an important thing we spoke to is setting parameters around that. So having boundaries of days that are fully free, periods of time in your day that are fully free of social media. There's even an app Jelan has spoken about before that he uses to track that time, sort of like a timer. And then if you've used that much time, then
Yeah, it's actually not an app. It actually comes with the iPhone. I don't know about
oh,
Android, so it's the screen time, and you actually can set limits. So for me, for example, on the weekends, you can't really set zero time, so I set a minute for TikTok. So it's like legit on the weekend. I don't have Instagram, but on the weekends, I have a minute several TikTok. So I'm open up TikTok. Oh, I'm laughing, and it shuts down because like I'm not supposed to be on here anyway. So like during the week, you can actually set certain times of when you can use your things. So like for me, it's 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So between that time, I can use it, but there's a limit on there. So I might be able to use it for 30 minutes in a day or hour in a day. You can set that time for yourself. So now you're staying focused because the most important times of the day are your mornings and your nights because your mornings, how you start your day. You don't want to start your day just listening to a bunch of stuff on social media, getting all this information, and you don't want to end your day off with getting all this information from social media because now you're not gonna go to sleep. So those are the times where I say I'm not using it. Midday is free game, but I will set it down to like an hour a day, or even less sometimes, depending how I feel.
Yeah. And I mean, those are, I think, three simple steps to implement is deciding some times in your week that you're going to block off. If you're a content creator, looking at what it would entail to schedule things and have them coordinated so you don't have to be on when you're not actually giving versus to endlessly consume. And then utilize features in your phone that help you minimize time. I think if you start with those three practical steps, you can start integrating more activity into your life, less time into endless scrolling and endless activity on socials. And you'll start realizing that you are, in fact, reclaiming your time.
Yeah, and I also feel like you need to get a hobby, get another hobby, set a goal of what you want to accomplish. If you want to read, now you have to say I have to fit the time into reading. So instead of being on social media, you want to read. You want to start a business. You want to study things to start that business and actually start that business. So I feel like that's something that we don't have. Not we, but in as a society, we actually are moving away from goals and just trying to get into like entertainment or having fun because the thing about it is like once you accomplish your goals, you can actually have fun because accomplish your goals is most of the time is to get more money, right? That's a lot of people's goals. So once you're able to do that, now you can be able to use your freedom to do fun things and activities. But if you're just trying to have the fun now, you're not gonna be able to have, the fun later. So I would definitely say find a hobby. Do you have any hobbies or anything that you trying to accomplish?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
even gonna lie. I don't have any new ones. I'll say that.
Okay.
I already had existing things that I wanted to give more time to, but I love that establishing intentional why. What things do you want to work on? Like you said, sometimes you may need to focus time so you have books that you're like, man, I really wanted to read these books. I ordered last year. I haven't even touched them. I really wanted to start meal prepping more. I wanted to start this new sermon series or whatever that is, but there's usually something that you're like, oh, I have no time for it. And if you looked at your time, you are spending a good amount of time scrolling on social media, or you might be one of those people that binge watch TV. We're not really binge TV watchers, but I feel like this could be applied to that as well. Like you could definitely still use these same principles to say, let me use less time with endless entertainment and actually more time doing things that make me feel fuller in day to day, and then look at how your life transforms throughout the year.
Yeah, I think we just use these things to escape. I think we actually had a conversation about this before, but all these social media and TV and stuff is to escape your life because you're probably not happy about what you're going through or your life you're living. But when you actually set goals and you're actually accomplishing things, that's going to build your happiness and making something to strive for. But social media and TV is just, you'd be happy for the moment, but your life still didn't change. So I would definitely say sit down and, set some goals of things you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm excited. I already just coming into February have felt so refreshed, so focused, and excited to continue moving in this way so that I can see more fruitfulness in my day to day in my relationships. So I hope that you have that same focus and see that same freedom in your lives. And if you have other ideas that we didn't speak to, put them in the comments, put them down below. We are always looking for even more ways to figure out how we can enjoy our lives in the way and the freedom that God gives us so that we're not bound to things that really aren't feeding us, but are taking away from our mental space and from the capacity that we have to live and enjoy the lives that we've been given.
Yeah, and actually one more point, just thinking about like detaching from social media. I probably talked about it, but I think a good thing to do is take it off. Did I say take off your phone already? Did I say that?
I don't think you did.
Okay, yeah. So one thing you can actually do is take the social medias off your phone. So Instagram, TikTok. I think those are probably the most addicting things. But you can actually log on your computer and do it. So if you say, "Oh, I can't get away from social media," take it off of there. You can use it on your laptop or computer, and it's like you're gonna realize you're not gonna spend hours on there because you're not being able to be comfortable sitting in your chair, just sitting anywhere. But you can be able to still get the information that you want. So I think that's definitely a way to, instead of saying I don't want to just not be on Instagram or social media, put on your computer. You're gonna spend way much less time on that than your phone and stuff. So
Cool.
I think that's what I like. Key points. You got any key points? Last key points for them to be able to do it? Because how did you able to? Because one thing before I end, how were you able to do it without a month? Do you have any any challenges, anything by doing that, or you were just
Self control, the Holy Spirit. That's really like not even trying to be funny, but we were fasting at the same time. So I'm now not only saying mentally I want to make this decision, but the Holy Spirit is now giving me the power to walk in agreement with what I know I don't need to do.
Mhm.
So it was, yeah, it was the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So, but yeah, like she's back on social media. I'm still really not on Instagram. So I don't know when I'm going to really be fully on Instagram scrolling and stuff like that. But right now, I don't see myself on there because there's just so many things that I have been able to accomplish and that I want to be able to accomplish that I'm really not going back.
Yeah. Yeah, back with again the parameters. So you'll see me when you see me. When you see me, I'll be doing my thing.
Yeah, but that's all the information we have. Just the main things I want y'all to know is that, you can definitely try, a social media break. 30 days is not that long. We have so much, the year been moving already. It's already almost March. So the year already been moving. So just try it and try it out. 30 days, if not 2 weeks. I'll say definitely longer than a week. Try to like push yourself and just see what things you accomplish. So the main thing I'll say is to set a goal, get a new hobby that you can actually replace being on social media because you don't need to use it all the time.
I agree.
All right, cool. Close this out.
All
You opened
right.
it.
Well, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and we look forward to continuing to just share. There's a lot of fun takeaways just from that period. So we have a lot of conversations coming forward to try to invite you into some of the changes we're making that are already bearing fruit to our lives, and we want your lives to be fruitful as well. So until next time, I'm Charnay.
I'm Jelan Abrams.
BEC.